And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. There we go. Got it. Got him. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to this Thursday night live edition of Believers Talk. You know how we do it every Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. We are live right here on Believers Talking, guys. This time it's a little bit different. This time it's a little bit special, as you can see. Not the normal background behind me. We are live and we are on location, on vacation, to give you guys the most up-to-date Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Sabres news. Again, guys, welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe. If you're new to this channel, guys, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. As you're rolling in here, as you're getting ready for a Thursday night of some fun Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Sabres talk, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Evil Crazy in the house. Glad to see you in here. Not much going on. Like I said, I'm on vacation, enjoying some time with the family, just enjoying some time away from the norm, which right now the norm just seems to be crazy, right? Everyone's going nuts. So enjoying some time away from it all, but still have to make sure you got in here and hang out with you guys because it's not a full week without doing that. So again, I appreciate you guys joining me. I've been doing all my videos live this week just because I am on vacation. I do have to admit that I'm not as prepared as I normally am for these Thursday night live sessions. So you guys might need to be a little more active today. Be a little more active tonight. Give me more material to talk about. I know that Coach Sean McDermott had a press conference just yesterday. So I want to talk about that a little bit. Obviously, we want to talk about the Buffalo Sabres. Jason Spiral being fired, and then them bringing in Adams. See what Buffalo Sabres fans think about that. And not only that, there's been some rumors going around. I've been looking on my phone today, some rumors about some things that the Pagulas wanted that Bots didn't want, and what's going on. So we'll address those as well. We'll obviously address those to keep you guys as informed as possible as what's going on, as far as I understand it. So we'll talk about all kinds of things, like I said, both on the Buffalo Sabres end and the Buffalo Bills end. And then obviously, guys, if you want, I'll happily take any questions that you guys have or any thoughts you guys want to get into tonight on this live stream. Get a little less prepared as I normally like to be, but this also might be a shorter live stream, and because I am on vacation, I'm enjoying some time away, so it might be a little bit shorter. Normally these run about an hour. I tried to go on vacation last week and couldn't get a motel, so I had to cut it short. Motels weren't open yet on Highway 1 in California. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully those things open up soon. Hopefully everything opens up soon, right? And again, guys, obviously, I wish everyone nothing but health and happiness during this time. Again, a stressful time for everybody, I'm sure, for one reason or another. Just not the norm, not what we're used to. And I don't want to start saying this is the new norm. This isn't the new norm. This is just outside the norm. This is the pandemic talking. And so we'll happily, hopefully move on from this and hopefully one day be back to the norm and be able to watch sports in full stadiums and be able to not worry about if there's going to be sports, but when there are going to be sports, how they're going to be played, and all those type of things. I look forward to joining you guys in celebrating those things. We have basketball playoffs coming up at the end of July, I believe it is. NHL talking about coming back as well. Maybe not a date fully set there, but hopefully it will all come back. Baseball is not going to come back, apparently, because no one can decide on anything over there. So that's pretty sad to see. Millionaires fighting with billionaires makes it a little hard to swallow sometimes. But hey, that's okay. As long as football's back in August, I know I'll be happy. Talking about a shorter preseason, which in 2021, they're going to a shorter preseason anyway. So that's not saying that, this isn't going to be something that's the new norm, right? So if they shorten the preseason this year, maybe get a little extra training camp in there without mini camp. Obviously, all the mini camp stuff was done via teleconference, via Zoom, however you want to talk about it. So that might have made things a little bit different. And Coach McDermott even talked about that. Everyone's talking about Jack Eichel getting traded. I'm getting nervous as Connor Gore. We're going to talk about those trade rumors. Like I said, lots of rumors going on with the Sabres as well. So we want to talk about those. So let's get right into it. Again, I don't know if I want to be on here a full hour due to the fact that I am on location. As you guys get in here, again, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, hit that like button. If you haven't already subscribed to Believers Talk, make sure you hit that subscribe button. After you subscribe, hit that notification bell. So first, let's talk about, since kind of brought up, let's talk about those trade rumors, right? Ever since Bots got fired just the other day, okay, so it hasn't been a long time, ever since Bots got fired, here are some of the rumors that I've heard about Bots. I've heard that the Bagulas wanted to go more electronic when it came to looking at young players, right? Less scouting in live scenes and more behind the scenes type stuff. And Bots wasn't on board with that. I've heard that Bots did not want to sign Skinner or Eichel to long-term contracts, and the Pagulas made him do that, and that was some contention over those issues as well. And I've also heard that Jack Eichel might be on the trade block. Those are three rumors that I've heard since the firing of Jason Botterill, the former GM of the Buffalo Sabres. And here's why I have to say those rumors. Stop it. Stop it. Here's the truth. When it comes to rumors, I listen to the parties involved, and that is it. Or possibly maybe a good, reliable source within in this circumstance, within NHL circles, right? If someone from ESPN who covers the NHL came out, Barry Melrose, let's say, for example, I don't even think he still does it, but let's say it was Barry Melrose came out and said, hey, Jack Eichel's on trade block. Okay, reputable source, right? Reputable source. He's been right more times than he's been wrong. I'll take his word for it. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? Glad to see you making it onto live stream, guys. I'm going to shout you all out if you leave comments. If you're leaving comments, I can't get to it. Then make sure you use the super chat button, guys. I give preference to super chat buttons, and obviously all the money that goes into the super chats goes into this channel. I put right back into it to give you guys the best content that I can. So I'm not believing the trade talks. I'm not believing there's a rift between the Pagulas and Jason Botterill, because here's the truth. Again, 4 weeks ago, Kim Pegula herself said, hey, we're sticking with them. We're sticking with them. The plan was to stick with them before the pandemic hit. The plan to stick with them now, even though there was a shortened season. Now, what changed in 3 weeks? I don't know. But obviously, they were on good terms. Hey, Kenneth, how you doing? Good to see you in here. Also, always glad to see you guys in here. Some of the same faces always coming in here. I always appreciate it. But obviously, they were on good terms 3-4 weeks ago, right? When Kim Pegula said, hey, we're sticking with it, right? And guess what? Jack Eichel and Jeff Skinner were already signed 4 weeks ago, right? They were signed, Jack Eichel was signed 2-3 years ago, and then Skinner last year. I was not expecting this move, but at least the new GM grew through the system. Hey, he's been there since 2009, right? Been there since 2009. So we know that he knows the Buffalo Sabres system. We know that he knows the Buffalo culture, the Buffalo way of doing things, and what we expect as fans. So if he had an issue signing Jeff Skinner or signing Jack Eichel, first of all, who wouldn't sign Jack Eichel to a mega deal, right? Who wouldn't do that? That was just a smart move. That was a smart move on everyone's behalf. If that wasn't Bot's idea, then good job by the Pagulas to make sure we locked him up for 10 years, okay? Now, Jack Eichel is going to be our superstar, so who wouldn't want to lock him up as best we can as soon as we could? And that's what the Buffalo Sabres did. I don't think anyone's questioning that move. I really don't. Who would question that? Because Jack Eichel has proven himself to be one of the biggest stars in the NHL. 3 All-Star appearances in 3 seasons. You're talking about a guy who keeps getting better, right? In less games this year, he had more goals than in any of the previous years combined. This was statistically, this was a career best year for Jack Eichel in his 4th season. And it wasn't even over. Unfortunately, ended sooner than we expected due to COVID-19. But other than that, he was having a career year, and we expect the same thing next season, and then the next season, and then the next season. Now, of course, we do know there's a no-trade clause after the 2022 NHL season. So if there was going to be a trade, now would be the time to consider it, because you don't want to wait till the 2022 season, because then teams aren't willing to give up as much, right? Because they're saying to themselves, why would I give you the farm if I can get him for free, in 4 years, 5 years, whatever the case might be, right? They might not be able to give so much. But then you look at it on the flip side and you say, well, they might realize, hey, this is the last chance we have to get him before there is that no trade clause, and then they want to give up a little bit more. So you kind of look at that both ways, but now is a really good time to trade Jack Eichel if you're the Buffalo Sabres, because you can get a lot for him. You got a new GM, but Jason Botts had no ties with Jack Eichel, right? Jack Eichel was not drafted during Jason Botts' tenure as GM, so he kept him around. Wouldn't you always keep a superstar around? If you don't keep your superstars, what's the point? if you're not going to keep your superstars, you're going to rely on draft picks. Guys, this isn't the NFL, right? This isn't the NFL where you have 50% of draft picks hit. Again, Bots in his 3 seasons as GM had 16 draft picks. 2 saw time in the NHL. 2 out of 16 isn't a good percentage. No matter who you're talking to, it is not a good percentage. If you're batting a 2 for 16, you're benched. Okay? If your grades are 1/8, you're probably failing everything. I hope this doesn't become a John Tavares situation. Eichel's the heart of our team. Eichel is the superstar, right? We need to build around him. Now, was the Jeff Skinner deal a good idea? That could be debated. And we debated on this channel last year when we signed him to that big contract, $8 million a year for the next 5-6 years, however many years is left on his contract. And we can always debate that. We need Eichel, says Kenneth Osborne. Absolutely, we need Jack Eichel. We need Jack Eichel. We need something to turn this team around. When has a star been traded in the NHL and it's worked out for the team that's traded them away, right? Wayne Gretzky, traded from the Kings. We don't hear from the Kings for quite some time, right? You look back at some of the main trades, right? Yager was traded from the Pens, I believe, at one point. Didn't work out for the Pens, although the Pens are the Pens. You can't even argue that. But still, a lot of big names have been traded in the NHL, and it hasn't worked out for the teams that have traded these big name players away. So hopefully the Jack Eichel rumors are just that, rumors. But again, this might be a good time for the Sabres if they were to consider it. I don't want Jack Eichel going. I want Jack Eichel to stay on this team. And if he is traded, I expect a haul of all hauls. I expect a King's ransom for Jack Eichel. And I don't think teams are willing to give that up. That's another thing. You have to have a team that's willing to trade for Jack Eichel. Okay, Jack Eichel's on trade block. Okay, who has 2 first-round picks next year? How many teams? Or who has 2 first-round picks over the next 2 seasons that they're willing to give up? Because that's what it would take. Multiple first-round draft picks, a player or 2 on the team already, and possibly some other things involved in that trade. It would have to be a mega deal for the Buffalo Sabres, and we would just hope that would work out for the best for the Sabres, obviously, at that point. But really, when you have a superstar of Jack Eichel's talent, you can't get rid of him. You can't get rid of him. So that's my feelings on that trade rumor. My feelings on the Skinner-Eichel Bots not wanting to sign them to long-term extensions. Again, I feel like we know more about that before now. I feel like everyone who's trying to start rumors right now is just trying to muddy the waters, and there's no waters to muddy. Bots hasn't said anything about that. You figure the Pagulas haven't said anything about that. If we lose him, might as well kiss our cup dreams goodbye. What cup dreams? What cup dream? We haven't made the playoffs in about 10 seasons, so I don't have any more cup dreams for this team for for a little bit longer, right? Figure even if we make the playoffs next year, we start turning things around, then it would still take another 2, maybe 3 seasons before we consider ourselves really cup contenders next year. Hey, Andrew, what worries me is we are not in a cap-friendly situation right now. Reinhart is going to want a bigger salary. Yeah, Skinner needs to become more productive. I agree with both those things. I know that the Buffalo Sabres do not have a lot of cap space, right? They don't have a lot of cap space, and we should see... I think we should bring up Dylan Cozens. I don't know much about him, so I'm not going to say much about him, Connor. But I know that we have some young talent on this team. And I think that we should try to keep as much young talent as we can. But I know we're strapped for cash. And I know that could be an issue. I know that could be an issue right now. So hopefully the Buffalo Sabres take that into account. And that's another thing about the trade for Jack Eichel. You're going to find a team that has cap space because... he's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost a lot of money for whatever team would want to trade for him. If we can find a way to get rid of Jeff Skinner, I'm good with that. I'm good with that at this point. But yeah, Skinner, if we keep him, has to be more productive. He can't be the 4th highest scorer on our team. He has to be the 2nd highest scorer on our team behind Jack Eichel, like he was 2 seasons ago. Like he was 2 seasons ago. He needs to be that player on a consistent basis. I know that he got hurt for a little bit this season, but not that long, right? He didn't miss that many games we couldn't have had a productive year. So that's what we expect out of Jeff Skinner every single time. Unfortunately, it did not happen, especially since Eichel wants to be competitive in his prime. And if we don't have cap to build around him, he might want out. He might want out. But right now, I think a lot depends on what we do with Ralph Kruger. If we keep Ralph Kruger, then I think we have a good chance of keeping Jack Eichel, just because Jack Eichel and Ralph Kruger kind of have formed a bond over the past season. Jack Eichel seems to be a fan of Ralph Kruger, so hopefully the Sabres know that going into it. Hopefully Adams knows that going into it as our new GM, keeps Ralph Kruger around, whether it be as a head coach or in some other way, keeps him around so that way he can be there and Jack Eichel can be happy. Keep Jack Eichel as happy as possible while we're not winning. Obviously, Jack Eichel wants to be competitive. Obviously, the Buffalo Sabres players, even if they're not doing all that well, want to be competitive, want to play at a high level. It's just not happening right now. But again, the rumors to me are just people trying to muddy the waters, right? People trying to throw some smoke, see what happens, see if anything can stick. And right now, it's just not happening. I don't think it's happening. I don't think we're going to get rid of Jack Eichel. I think that, you might see some other low-level names traded or released, whatever the case might be, but not Jack Eichel. Again, if we could find a way to trade for Jeff Skinner, maybe you see that get done, but I don't think the Buffalo Sabres are dumb enough to get rid of their cornerstone, their centerpiece, whatever you want to call them. And again, if they do, we need to get a king's ransom. We cannot be accepting minimal deals for a guy like Jack Eichel just because we need to stay within the cap space, just because we have cap trouble. We need to get the talent that whatever we need, all right? And it needs to be a king's ransom for a superstar like Jack Eichel. Again, probably in the top 10 as far as NHL players currently in the NHL. I mean, he's just that dominant. He's that good. I mean, he's the only reason why anyone would have watched the Sabres over the past 3 years. The only reason. Excuse me, guys. That's rude. That's very rude, so I do apologize for that. But, again, on vacation. Whatever. A little tired. Been staying out late and having a good time every day. But let's talk about the Buffalo Bills now. Let's talk about Coach McDermott. Let's talk about what he did, the press conference that Coach McDermott had about what we could call mini camp or whatever you want to call it. Obviously, they did not have mini camps this season. They had them all virtually. And Sean McDermott talked about that a lot and talked about how good they were and how impressed he was with not only the Buffalo Bills team, right? Not only the players, not only the coaches, but you're talking about the IT guys over at One Bills Drive. You're talking about the personnel outside of the coaches, outside of the training staff, outside of the players, right? You're talking about the Pagulas. And it's funny because even in that press conference, Sean McDermott did talk about the Buffalo Sabres, and he's right when he says the Pagulas want the Sabres to win. It's not like the Pagulas want the Sabres to lose. The Pagulas know what winning football, what winning hockey does to the city of Buffalo and what that inadvertently does to their wallets, right? You have a winning team, makes the playoffs, that leads to more revenue. More revenue leads to more money in the pockets of the Pagulas. So why wouldn't they want these teams to win? Obviously, they want these teams to win, both the Bills and the Sabres. And listen, the Pagulas might not have done everything right, but they're bringing back some power to the city of Buffalo, not just their sports teams, but you talk about the Pagula Entertainment Center, that they put up. That's amazing what they're doing to the city of Buffalo. Try to help them along, right? Help rebuild that city and make that city what it once was, a powerhouse, both on and off the field of play. So let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. Coach McDermott, again, had a press conference talking about mini camps and talking about training camp coming up and the preseason, what all looks like, and his expectations for Dawson Knox in particular, let alone every single player on this team. But they did talk about the expectations of Dawson Knox and how they expect to see Dawson Knox grow in his second season. Again, a lot of inconsistencies with Dawson Knox in his first season with the Buffalo Bills. There were times we saw Dawson Knox and we were all very impressed, right? Talking about that Cincinnati game where he just bowled over some players. Talking about a few big catches in that first Patriots game and the second Patriots game, in fact, where he really looked like the stud that we wanted to get out of our tight end position. Now I talk about some of the drops that he had, some of the first down drops that he had for Josh Allen, and you really want to see more consistency from him. And that's something that Coach McDermott talked about in that press conference and how they expect to see more out of Dawson Knox. Obviously, we will talk more about that and every single player leading up to the 2021 or 2020 NFL season. So make sure you guys stay right here on Believers Talk. Again, guys, if you're new, hit that thumbs up button and hit that subscribe button. Really helps out the channel, and I really do appreciate it. But also some other things that Coach McDermott talked about is the old players, bringing back those old players, bringing back Kyle Williams, bringing back Lorenzo Alexander, bring back some of those guys who want to be there. Eric Wood, another one, who want to be there. He talked about how dumb him and Brandon Beam would be to not lean on that experience, to not lean on those guys to come in and teach the young guys what they know, especially in a year like this year, when mini camps are cut short. Mini camps are all just virtual at this point, right? Everything you're doing right now is just virtual. Unless you're Josh Allen and you're getting the offense to meet down in Florida. And even in those times, you're talking about virtual mini camps with the rest of the team, with the head coach, with the coaching staff. Those are all things that are a lot different than what we're used to, not only as Bills fans, but as the players themselves. Players themselves coming into this league, they don't have what they used to have where they could come in and meet with some of the veterans, meet with the head coaches. You talk about Zach Moss just signed his rookie deal 2 days ago, which is awesome because that means all of our draft picks have signed, so that's great. But he still hasn't been able to meet with Coach McDermott, right? He still has not met with Coach McDermott to talk about some things that are, or Brian Dabble, to talk about some things that are expected out of him going into the 2020 NHL season, his rookie year. Now, again, the good news is, and we talked about right here on this channel, it seems like first-year running backs seem to have a hard time getting going just because of all the work they put into the NFL Combine, put into their pro days, put into rookie mini camps, then training camp. You don't have any of that. You don't have any of that this year, so you have fresher legs. So hopefully that means a bigger role going into the 2020 NHL season. But he might not exactly know what that role is. In fact, the Buffalo Bills might not know exactly what that role is because they have not been able to see him with this team yet. Now, again, great job by Josh Allen and the backup quarterbacks as well, getting everyone together on the offensive side of the ball. We've all seen the pictures by now. We've seen everything by now about the offense meeting in Florida and being able to work out together, right? Now, we didn't see many players from that offensive line there, so that might matter. The good news is the offensive line, all 5 starters from last year seem to be returning this year as well. So hopefully that continuity is already there, already built in going into training camp. But another thing that we talked about, or Coach McDermott talked about, is the fact that we're not guaranteed training camp, guys. And so we need to kind of roll, or they need to roll with the punches when it comes to what the NFL's expectations are for this team and for the NFL season moving forward. What are those expectations going to look like, and how will that change as the season moves on? So those are all things that Coach McDermott talked about in the press conference. Again, a very positive press conference, had nothing but good things to say about the training staff at One Bills Drive, about the IT guys at One Bills Drive who were able to get these Zoom meetings all worked up. So that way we could have at least, or they could have at least a little bit of time with the players, a little bit of one-on-one time with the players if needed, teach them the playbook, go over some things. Obviously, we don't know what these virtual mini camps look like, how much they resemble the real thing. That's yet to be seen. Maybe we'll never know. But I'm glad to see that the Buffalo Bills are at least having positive feedback from both the players and the coaches when it comes to this new way of doing things. And hopefully, again, it won't last too much longer. Unfortunately, we've seen some numbers go up due to things opening up. We kind of expected that to happen when it came to this pandemic, but unfortunately that has happened. Hopefully those numbers start to go down again, and we can all look forward to some NFL football, some NBA basketball, some NHL hockey, whatever the case might be. We could start getting back to sports. But guys, speaking of getting back to things, I'm gonna get back to my vacation. Again, I always enjoy hanging out with you guys on Thursday nights. A little bit shorter episode today, obviously, but join me every Thursday, 9:30 Eastern time, as I go live give you guys the most up-to-date Buffalo Bills updates. Again, today, Zach Moss signed his rookie deal, so he's the last draft pick for the Buffalo Bills to sign. So great news if you're a Bills fan. The Bills have signed every single one of their draft picks. I believe they've also signed every single one of their undrafted free agents. So we pretty much have the 90 guys that we want to take into training camp. Now, will all 90 guys make it in training camp? Will the Bills invite all 90 guys into training camp? Remember, things are going to be a little bit different now. Have to have a backup plan in case some of these players do end up with the pandemic, right? With the COVID-19. So you do have to hope that that doesn't happen, but we've seen it in the NFL already. We've seen some players, Ezekiel Elliott's one of them, other Dallas Cowboys or some others. You have that Denver Broncos corner who also tested positive. Some Houston Texans players have tested positive. Hopefully the Bills can stay away from that, but if not, maybe we don't invite all the players to training camp so that we have players in the wings, in the back, just in case we need to fill in positions, just in case we need to fill in some roles. I Need My Sports. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Kenneth. I Need My Sports, too. I'm looking forward to getting back to sports and getting back to hanging out with you guys even more. Again, guys, shortened video just due to the vacation. Going to have a good time, but always enjoy hanging out with you guys for just a little bit. Again, if you haven't already subscribed to Believers Talk, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment. What do you think about Jack Eichel? Do you think we should the Sabres should trade him? What do you think about the Buffalo Bills? Do you like what you see from Buffalo Bills mini camp? Again, nothing like it normally is, but you have to like Josh Allen, Matt Barkley, getting those guys together down in Florida, having a good time, and also learning some of the playbook. You have to like the idea of Coach McDermott coming on there, saying nothing but positive things up and down the board about the Buffalo Bills and the training staff and the IT staff, and even the retired Buffalo Bills greats like Kyle Williams, like Eric Wood, and like Lorenzo Alexander. I look forward to seeing what impact they will have on the Buffalo Bills moving forward. But again, guys, thank you all for joining me on this edition of Believers Talk, this live edition of Believers Talk. I look forward to bringing you more breaking news. So again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as we get closer and closer to the start of the NFL season. Again, I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.